All right, man. So let's talk South Carolina Gamecocks here for a bit. The South Carolina football program has, along with a lot of other football teams, entered into spring practice. Spring ball is upon us. It's an exciting time. You see a lot of young guys get their first action with the two deep, the first or second string. You see a lot of transfer guys coming into the fold. Potentially some early enrollee recruits getting involved as well. You get the early glimpse of what the Gamecocks are going to look like in 2023 and beyond, Mice. And we've got an interesting report right out of the early parts of spring practice that shows really an advantage the Gamecocks have and the fact that could be huge for them come this season.
Yeah, Nick, Carolina is looking good coming to the season. I think there's a lot of high expectations, but there's high expectations for this spring ball. And I think there's a lot of players out there. And that's why I want to know in the comments below, Carolina fans, who are you looking forward to get a look at in spring ball? Is it going to be the quarterback to see if he keeps the steam from last year? Is it going to be some of the new tools that they've added around the ball? Let us know in the comments below who you're looking forward to see this spring. But Nick, let's get into it. What's going on in South Carolina?
Yeah, so South Carolina has been one of those really active teams, kind of quietly under the radar with what they've done in the recruiting and in the transfer portal. Shane Beamer and company has done an outstanding job there. But one of the issues when you rely on transfers and recruits is how you develop them physically to play in the SEC. Because the SEC is essentially NFL minor league, right? It's big, tough, physical, fast, athletic, explosive. You can be really good at football and be really skilled and really smart, but it takes a pounding. You got to be big, strong, fast, well-conditioned to compete at the high level like South Carolina wants to do. But the early reports coming out of Gamecock spring ball shows that a lot of these new additions are living up to that billing, and it's a credit to the Carolina Strength and Conditioning program as well as his own guys' work ethic. So this is from Sports Illustrated. I'm going to read from the report here. One facet of the program that should be fun at this point in Shane Beamer's tenure is the team's overall strength and conditioning. Desmond Umeozulu and Lenore Sellers during practice, both guys already fitting SEC billing. Those are early enrollees in the recruiting process, and both have added some good weight to their frames. And tight end Trade Knox and running back Mario Anderson Jr. also stood out as players who look like they belong in the SEC. Both of them were transfers as well. All right, Maya. So when I look at this is a great sign going forward, because one of the things that can be a problem for programs that rely on transfers and recruits, because if you're Carolina, right, you're competing against Georgia, right? Georgia's going to get the 5 stars and the 4 stars more than you are. Alabama, same thing, right? It's just a tough environment. You got to work on finding other ways to get top flight talent. But sometimes these guys have little deficiencies, right? Maybe they're a little underweight. Maybe they're a step slow, and they got to refine some of their athletic attributes in the weight room or on the track. And that's one of the things you always worry about with these transfers and these recruits, right? Can they take that next step and develop? And it looks like, according to this report out of spring ball, that a lot of these new additions have already taken that step and are already developing. I think that's a great sign that these guys are mature and are working their butts off to get to where they need to be. And a big credit to the Carolina Strength and Conditioning program as well. Give me your thoughts on this, Mize, and just everything with the Gamecocks program at this point.
Yeah, Nick, I love it's looking good. I love they're hitting the weight room. It seems like everybody's in shape. They're getting a little bit bigger because, as you alluded to, that's what you need to play in the SEC. And, the first 2 seasons of Shane Beamer's career, they were nice. They're kind of feel-good stories. And I think that's because the expectations were low. He came in off the Muschamp era, wasn't necessarily the best era of Carolina football. He came in, there's a little bit of excitement about him. You think his dad, you hear Beamer ball, all of the adjectives thrown around, and it was nice. But then you start winning a little bit. And now I think this season is going to be a little bit different because there are some expectations, especially coming off the end of last year. So I think there's a lot to look forward to this spring to see how things are going. Can the offense keep the motor that it had going at the end of last year? The defense, a defense that boasted to be one of the leaders in the SEC in turnovers. That's what Beamer ball is all about, scoring anytime, anywhere on the field. SEC leading in turnovers, one of the league's best pass defenses in all of college football. So I think that we can see, can Carolina keep the growth they had to end the last season? There's a lot of turnover, but there's a lot of good additions, as you alluded to. And obviously, our special teams been ranked very, very highly throughout all of my entire life. I think Carolina's always had really, really good special teams. So that's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. Pete Lambeau, one of the best special teams coaches there are. But Nick, I think there's a lot going on good in South Carolina, and I think this is going to be a year where we can see it's a make it or break it year for Shane Beamer, because I think there's some pretty high expectations.
Oh yeah, and one thing to not forget, and you brought up special teams and Beamer ball and scoring anywhere and everywhere. I really think that kind of alludes to their overall program strategy and how well they've done in the weight room in terms of strength and conditioning. Because one of the things, if you're looking to score anywhere, you got to be in shape because it's all about wearing teams down and taking advantage of, a special teams guy gets lazy on a kickoff coverage and you break a big return, or you get a scoop and score and the offensive linemen and running backs are too tired to chase you down. So it's those kind of elements that can really play into that Beamer ball like Shane Beamer likes to play. And the fact that a lot of these new additions are already fully bought in, or it seems that way based on how they've started spring practice, is a great sign that that strategy that worked well from last year is going to continue to work well going to 2023. And it looks really good for the Gamecocks so far at this point.